The 90s are chock full of some great sci-fi horror films. Who can forget Event Horizon, The Lawnmower Man, Mimic, or Deep Blue Sea? You know, the one where Samuel L. Jackson gets eaten by a shark?
Deep Blue Sea! They ate me! A shark ate me! Drink, bitch!
Anyways, let's fast forward to the end of the decade, 1999 in particular. It was, and still is, considered to be the best year movies were released. In January, director John Bruno would bring us the film Virus, a movie that makes us ask the question, what the happened to this horror movie? Back in 1992, writer Chuck Farrer and Canadian artist Howard Cobb brought to life the comic series Virus. The story revolves around a group of scientists who encounter an alien virus that takes over a Chinese Navy research vessel and reconfigures it. The virus infects and takes control of dead bodies of the crew. It propagates itself by making various creatures that are created out of both organic and inorganic parts. As the infected machines and human creatures threaten humanity, the scientists must find a way to stop the virus and save the world from its impending doom. At the time, Farrer said when he wrote the original story as a script, the special effects for a film adaptation wouldn't have been possible. So he sold it to Dark Horse Comics as, you guessed it, a comic series.
What are you going to do with your $3 million?
I don't have it yet.
So let's discuss John Bruno. In the early 80s, he started off as a director of special effects for heavy metal, which some consider to be one of the best animated films of all time. He would then work on visual effects for various films including Ghostbusters, Poltergeist 2: The Other Side, and Fright Night. In the 1990s, he began working as a visual effects supervisor for James Cameron's problematic film The Abyss. He would continue working with James on Terminator 2, Judgment Day, True Lies, and was a visual effects supervisor as well as a director of T2 3D, Battle Across Time, a defunct theme park attraction that used to be at Universal theme parks.
Now join Arnold Schwarzenegger in the world's first 3D virtual adventure, Terminator 2 3D.
In 1997, he was a production visual effects consultant for Titanic. In 1997, he was approached to direct a comic book adaptation for a film called Virus. As the 90s went on, Chuck Farrer would see the rise in visual and special effects. It came time that technology had finally caught up. The plot of the film is similar to the comic book, except it follows a salvage crew that discovers a Russian research ship that has been infested with an alien life form. The alien takes over machinery and starts building robotic creatures. Along the way, the crew finds a lone survivor from the aliens' massacre of the crew. With her, the crew must find a way to destroy the ship and prevent the spread of the virus-like organism to the mainland.
You are virus.
Great. Just great. Good things for germs.
The cast hired for the film included Jamie Lee Curtis, William Baldwin, Donald Sutherland, Joanna Pacula, Marshall Bell, Cliff Curtis, and Sherman Augustus. Universal, impressed by Farrer's script, would helm the project. Production would commence on January 30, 1997 and would last until June of that year. This film was an international co-production between the United States, United Kingdom, Japan, France, and Germany. It was mostly shot in Newport News, Virginia, on a ship that was anchored in the James River. The ship that was used for production was a retired missile range instrumentation ship USNS General Hoyt S. Vandenberg. Try saying that 3 times fast. The ship had been decommissioned since the mid-80s and was covered in rust. It was in disrepair, and when filming commenced, one side of the ship was painted and dressed up. The other side of the ship was left in poor condition. A miniature used for filming was a reworked model left over from The Abyss. During the production, one of the ship's satellite dish antennas was intentionally damaged for the film's final scene, where the ship was destroyed. Not to jump too far ahead, but on May 27, 2009, the ship was sunk outside Key West, Florida, to serve as an artificial reef and for recreational diving. The ship still had the Russian name from the movie inscribed on it as the ship went down.
Ahoy! The Vladislav Volkov! I'm the captain of the Sea Star! Is there anyone aboard? Ahoy!
This movie had its fair share of complainers, the biggest being Jamie Lee Curtis, who's gone on record saying she considers it to be the worst movie ever made. She stated that she'd lobbied hard to have John Bruno fired because of how bad she thought the film was, and replaced by her Halloween H2O director, Steve Miner. He wasn't available because he was working on making James Van Der Beek and Katie Holmes stars on Dawson's Creek. In the film, Donald Sutherland gets taken over by the alien virus and is transformed into Bio Everton. He spent 6 hours in the makeup chair and wanted to film all of his scenes, which required special makeup effects to be filmed in one day so he would not have to go through the makeup application process again and again.
You don't recognize me. What's wrong?
Several special effects companies were hired to create the robot's look and feel real for the film. All Effects Company made the Goliath robot come to life. It was approximately 9 foot tall and weighed an estimated 4,000 pounds. All Effects Company had only 3.5 months to produce the robot from its initial drawings and designs to the finished product. All Effects Company partnered with XFX Images to make all the robots in the film come to life and move properly so they looked realistic. The legendary Phil Tippett and his company Tippett Studios were also hired as robot animation supervisors for the film.
You want us for spare parts?
The movie was originally scheduled for a summer 1998 release, but was eventually pushed to January of 1999, which anyone who follows movie releases and distribution can tell you that's a bad sign. Virus released on January 15, 1999, which is what was called peak dump month, when studios would push a film out in theatres that they didn't have much hope for. And as predicted by the studio, it was both a critical and commercial flop, grossing less than half of its budget of $75 million and earning negative reviews. It opened in 9th place on its opening weekend against Varsity Blues, which opened that same weekend to number 1. It fell behind You've Got Mail and Prince of Egypt's 5th weekend in theatres. Yikes. Most critics found it to be derivative and unoriginal. The film currently holds a 12% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, with the consensus being, despite its great special effects, this movie's predictability greatly undermines its intensity.
Now there's still a way to get off this ship. What? But you gotta get to the missile room. Missile room. You'll understand when you get there.
Virus had a very ambitious marketing strategy behind it. There were a line of action figures called the Virus Collector Series that were developed to promote the film. You could buy your favourite characters such as Foster, Baker, Richie, and the Goliath Machine, which came with the Nadia figure. If you bought characters such as Captain Everton or the Russian Captain, they would come built with their cyborg implants. They included parts to restore their human appearance. Each toy came with 1 or more firearms. The Goliath would feature 3 sound clips of his lines from the film. There was even a European-only tie-in game called Virus It Is Aware. It was released on the Sony PlayStation in June of 1999 and was reminiscent of survival horror games like Resident Evil and controlled like Tomb Raider. The plot of the game had little to do with the film, apart from its introduction and ending cinematics, which featured creatures infesting a ship. Unfortunately, the game was rated very low and never received the proper distribution for Americans to play. I've played some poor tie-in movie games, such as The Fifth Element, and would love to try it one day, despite its bad reviews.
I don't want to hear it! You don't have a choice!
Virus was released for home media on VHS and DVD on July 20, 1999. The DVD supplements included a commentary by John Bruno, some deleted scenes, and featurettes, as well as a documentary entitled Ghost in the Machine, which covered production design and effects. As always, the wonderful people at Shout Factory would give this film a proper release on Blu-ray. It was released on May 2, 2017. The picture quality was scaled up to 1080p and has a gorgeous transfer. The disc released with a bevy of new extras, including 3 new interviews with John Bruno, writer Dennis Feldman, and actor Marshall Bell. There's even a new special effects making-of feature entitled Men, Monsters, and Machines.
What is it? It's robotic, what's it? High-tech robotics.
Over the years, the film has gained a cult following, and some have praised it for its moments of suspense and tension, while others revel in its 90s B-movie charm and nostalgic value. Personally, I always thought this movie was a fever dream growing up, and definitely owned at least 1 or 2 of these toys. There's something about 90s toy packaging that was just so iconic. Yes, this film falls short in terms of plot and its character development, and the story can definitely feel disjointed at times, with things that just don't mesh well or get fleshed out entirely. Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Sutherland's characters both lack depth and aren't given enough development to truly engage the audience. The most memorable parts of this film are the robots and all the practical effects used. Overall, Virus is a visually impressive film with an intriguing premise, but its execution falls short due to weak character development, a disjointed plot, and cliched writing.
Hey, Captain, take a look! That barge goes down, we go down with it!
Well, that's a chance I'll take.
While it may appeal to fans of science fiction and B-movie enthusiasts, it may not satisfy those looking for a more cohesive and thought-provoking cinematic experience. Since 1999, Jamie Lee Curtis has made some true bombs, including Christmas with the Cranks, You Again, and Halloween Ends. I'd love to sit down with her and ask which of these movies she now thinks is her actual worst film.
Boss! It's alright. It's okay, you hear me? We made it. Come on.